Hello, everybody, again, and welcome back, or welcome to, depending if you were watching the previous one or not. Welcome to the Anything Liverpool live stream with myself, Ben. Dan is back again with me, Hassan, and Luke. Thank you so much for joining us. The deadline has passed. Anybody who didn't get their deal sheets in time is now done until January. There is no more deals to be done this transfer window unless you had a deal sheet submitted. And we can thankfully say that Liverpool did submit a deal sheet before the deadline. However, there was a couple of teams that didn't submit a deal before the deadline. And one of those, if rumours are to be correct, was Nottingham Forest, because they missed the deadline by, if my memory serves, because when I see the tweet, it said they missed the deadline by 8 seconds. And that is absolute comedy. Clearly, their owner was too busy munching on a kebab at the time and forgot to hit send. But we'll not fat shame anybody because we do all love a kebab. But in the meantime, if you haven't done so already, please make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so. We would very much appreciate it. We are currently streaming across Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. If you're watching on anything other than YouTube, make sure to jump over to our YouTube page, Anything Liverpool. Drop us a like, drop a subscribe, hit your notifications so that you will not miss a stream or a video every time that they are uploaded. Plenty of content coming out from us over the next week. We've got a long international break to fill content with, so make sure you're around for that as well. But with that being said, we are going to do a couple of fun things today, shall we say. Both myself and Dan have essentially worked our autistic brains to get, we're not diagnosed, by the way, we're pretty sure, worked our artistic brains to get the numbers done for, I've done the top 6 teams of both incoming, outgoing, net spend, so on and so forth. And then what we're going to do is we're going to rank basically all 20 Premier League teams based on their transfer window. And we're going to have a chat about it and try and get through that over the next hour. So without further ado, I shall introduce you to our panel mates. Ben, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Lovely to see you again on stream with myself again. How have you felt about Liverpool's transfer window so far? And do you think Mark Guehi gets done?
Yes, I think it gets done. It's so impressive, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? That's what you expect from a team that has just won the Premier League and should be fighting on all 4 fronts. Possibly, I mean, in my short memory, possibly the best transfer window I've witnessed from any club. Even you go back to sort of that Rail Galactico window. I think this surpasses that. So yeah, it's a matter of time now, letting them all embed in, and yeah, I think we're set for the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, don't disagree whatsoever there. Dan, I've already gotten your opinions on the transfer window and everything in the previous stream. I'm not going to make people listen to you twice, unfortunately. I joke. Hassan, it's been a while since we've been on stream. Good to see you. Happy to have you back on stream with myself. How are you feeling about Liverpool's business? Are you happy with it? Are you more of the opinion of the Corbally Reds that it's still FSG out, or how have you seen it over the summer? And do you think Mark Guehi gets done?
Yeah, as Ben said, that it has been the best summer window we have ever had, and I think Guehi hopefully will be get done because his deal sheet has been done. He has done nothing wrong. He's a really good. He has been a really good servant for Palace, and Palace. Whatever was asked from him, he has delivered. So it is for them to show any kind of loyalty to him as well. So because his mind is set, he has done the medical, everything is, his family must be waiting for him to join a big club. So I think it will be done also. If he stays somehow, it will be disaster for Palace because they will have a captain who is not happy. He's a professional. I think he will get on with it. But in January, it will again happen. So it is best for the all parties that he moves on and he comes to us.
Yeah, definitely no bias in that whatsoever, Hassan. I love it. Luke, pleasure to have you back on stream with myself again. Happy to have you here. You were obviously at the Arsenal game and you enjoyed that absolute thundercunt of a free kick from Dominic Szoboszlai. But we won't talk about the game here today. We'll talk more about the summer as a whole. How have you felt that Liverpool's transfer business is? And I'll throw the same question as I did to Ben and Hassan. Do you think Guehi gets done? We can't hear you. So the mic isn't working.
you hear
No.
me now?
Yeah, there we go.
You can hear me now. We're having some mic issues here. I'm trying to fix it on the fly, but it's not happening for us. Well, is the deal sheet in? We don't quite know yet, do we? It hasn't been confirmed, has it? So
No, it has. Mike McGrath has
it
confirmed
has.
everything.
All right, well, that's great news, isn't it? At one point today, I was really worried when sort of the Igor stuff was collapsing. And I was sort of thinking, like, we're going to be without a defender here. And it sort of looked like the Gomez move was blocked. I don't know the entirely the ins and outs to try and keep up as much as I can, but I'm terrible with transfers. But the back of my mind was just thinking, with us having to call on Gomez yesterday, is that playing a part in thinking, oh, maybe we are a little bit light here? And if Gomez was going, that was also signaling to me that Guehi was definitely coming in. So I was very much like everywhere this morning. My headspace was absolutely gone. But yeah, bad looks, it's somehow worked out, hasn't it? They've got a defender in. I'm right in saying, aren't I? It's a young lad, isn't it, from Toulouse? His name's not appearing to me right now. And it looks like hopefully we're going to get him done. We're all just awaiting the announcements, essentially, aren't we? But I don't know if they'll do them both today. I think they might want to save some of the media clicks, mightn't they? They might do like one tonight, one tomorrow. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be one announced tonight, one announced tomorrow. You'd wonder if both do get signed. Are they going to blow their load on Isaac tonight, or are they going to wait for him to be the bigger one tomorrow, so to speak, and let it sort of sit for a day?
I reckon Isaac will be tonight because, as far as we know, he's been in the AXA all day, hasn't he? And he's Adidas signed as well. So I reckon Adidas has been all over that all day, and that's why we haven't seen nothing. So I reckon we'll get some good shots of him. Plus, you can get him down to the ground on that. Maybe that's where he's been. Do you know when he sort of left and come back? Maybe he's been down the ground and had to get a few photos. So I imagine like all that's already teed up to go. Where the ones at Guehi are very much going to be like very quick. I remember Van Dijk with the Christmas tree in the shirt. I think the Guehi ones are going to very much be looking like that if it's done.
Yeah, I agree. Jack here asking about what's happening with the Guehi deal. So to catch everybody up who hasn't known already, basically what's happened with the Guehi deal is a bid was accepted, personal terms have been agreed. The bid initially was a month ago, £35 million flat. It has since been upgraded to £35 million and a 10% sell-on. Palace have been looking for replacements. They had a replacement earlier in the day, which was Igor Julio, was the guy's name. But the issue was with him, and this is probably where you missed it, Luke, that it wasn't so much Gomez that we sort of seen blocking the move or anything like that. It was more Igor Julio. They didn't like his medical at Palace, so they passed on him. Palace pulled the plug on it. Also, there's been rumours that Oliver Glasner will walk if Guehi moves, and Parish is basically trying to consolidate on all fronts regarding it. It's a bit of a mess at the moment, but that deal sheet doesn't get submitted unless both clubs are willing to do the deal on it and willing to come to terms with it. So I was hesitant until the deal sheet went in, and Dan will know this because he was on the stream previously with me. I said I don't think it goes through, but I'm going to flip-flop back again, Dan, and I'm going to say that I think it does go through because the deal sheet has been submitted, and I don't think both clubs submit the deal sheet without at least 95% of it being done and just somebody having to sign on a dotted line. I think it's more so just let's give ourselves 2 hours, let's chill out, let's relax. It's been a hectic day. We'll all go get a pint and we'll sort this out in the pub, basically, which is how transfers should be done, in my opinion. But
yeah.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I felt like a natural transition there. Yeah, so just to clarify, Crystal Palace did sign a center back, JD Canvol from Toulouse for around £20 million. Talented young French center back. Probably is going to be pretty good for Palace because Palace haven't really flubbed any transfers recently. Yeah, because they submitted the deal sheet, they don't do that unless the officials are pretty confident it's going to be signed off. The only person that seems to be holding up this transfer right now is Oliver Glasner himself.
Yeah.
And my guess is this is what I thought would happen is that if he's threatening to walk, they may not accept it. But he's obviously not threatening that because they accept the deal sheet. I think Glasner right now is just hashing it out with Parish because I think what Parish wants is Glasner to stay long term. But Glasner's like, look, I'm not going to renew if this is how we're going to do business because some of the ITK's gossip is that Parish's pitch to Glasner is that we are going to take this money and reinvest it next summer because Glasner wants, and he said this, he wants to turn Palace into a top 40 European club. That doesn't mean a top 40, like a top Champions League club in England. He's just saying, in terms of European clubs on the UEFA coefficient, whatever, he wants Palace in the top 40, and he believes he can take them there. And so Oliver Glasner is a very smart manager, very, very good manager, though some dismissed him as the second worst Austrian in history, which was shocking to say the least, a shocking take from some people in the chat. The second worst Austrian.
Jesus.
So Glasner's a very ambitious man, and in this situation, he sees it as weakness. I think what Parrish right now, that's the meeting, is Parrish and Glasner working through this. The fact the deal sheet's there, it's on Palace's desk, and they just have to sign to approve the transfer before 9 p.m. British Standard Time, which is in another hour and 30 minutes, more or less. I think it does go through at this point, though again, there is that 5% that Glasner throws such a hissy fit that it doesn't happen. But that seems what to be the situation is at this moment. They did get someone in. And listen, Palace also have a new forward they just brought in as well. I think it's Jonathan Uche, I believe. I think his name is Jonathan Uche, is the guy who they assigned as well.
Yeah.
So, if this deal gets accepted and go through, it's amazing. No one can say anything. I do think it means Konate is leaving next summer. Not to throw a dampener on this window. I do think that the reason they're going so hard for Guehi as well as signing Giovanni Leone is not just for future-proofing for Van Dijk and for replacing Kwanzaa and Gomez when he goes. It's also, I think there's a strong possibility Konate is not here in July of 2026.
Yeah. It's I think Konate might still stay. Apparently Isak's number has been confirmed to nobody that it was a surprise to. It'll be the number 9. Shock to nobody. That one's going to be in the shops very quickly. Make sure you get your orders in, because that one's going to go quick. But what we're going to do is, first of all, thank you so much, Ross. We very much appreciate it. Big ups to yourself as well. I make myself sound like Lee Gunner saying that. It definitely doesn't sound good in an Irish accent, but sure, look, is what it is. We are going to take a look at some of the numbers regarding this transfer window. Now, I'm going to take a look at the big 6 that are here, and Dan is going to have his own one as well that he take a look at. And we're going to go from there. Now, please do not fear the spreadsheet. It's a good bit of fun. This is basically the top 6 teams: Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Man City, and Spurs. All of their spendings and incomings up the top in euros, all of their outgoings on the bottom in euros, and those in green are pure profit. Myself and Dan done the maths earlier, more so Dan done the maths earlier regarding this, where essentially, I think if the maths is worked out right, Dan, I think including pure profit, we have sold about 700 million euro worth of players this summer. You're on mute, Dan. Still can't hear you, Dan.
Actually, it's 805 million euros. That's full profit, not taking into account Kelleher's sell-on clause. If you take out a sell-on clause and you don't count Doak or Harvey, it's closer to around 450
I didn't
to
even
about
count
500
Doak
million.
in that. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. Doak was what? He was what in euro? He's about 30 million pounds with it.
I actually don't remember. The one I have from Transfermarkt was I had him at 23 million euro is what they had at Transfermarkt.
23 million euro. There we go. Oh, no, I do have Doak in there. I'm an idiot. He's in green already. Going to add him twice. 23.2. Yeah, that's what it's there. But yeah, football accountancy is fun. And football accountancy is weird, considering that basically all of those guys that you see in green there essentially paid for our transfer window, because they netted us about 500 million pounds in transfer fees. And the reason they do that is because they're called pure profit. And for those that don't know how pure profit works, essentially you book it for the next 5 years on your books, even though you don't get it for the next 5 years. So, for example, if Elliott went for 40 million euros, technically that's 200 million euros because of how the football finances
PSR.
work.
Because of how PSR
and everything works. They give you more leniency to pure profit of developing your academy stars and selling them on. Elliott counts as an academy player. Trent, Morton, Kelleher, Doak, Kwanzaa. Essentially, between Elliott and Kwanzaa, that has basically paid for our transfer window from how the money works and how it comes over the counter. But looking at this, I'm going to throw it over to, we see the totals here up the top. So this is Liverpool. This is obviously Arsenal. Then this is Chelsea, because obviously it is, because the amount of fucking players they've sold. This is United. They've sold one player in Garnacho. These are based
Anthony.
on
They got
fees.
Anthony too. Anthony for 22.
Oh, well, there we go. Anthony for 22 million euro. Well done, them. Fantastic. I'll have to adjust these fees, but it's fine. Nonetheless, all of this is in euros, so I just might as well just take all this out.
You got to learn how to do formulas like Steve.
I have
know how to do
formulas done. It's everything is done bar the currency conversion. I didn't have time to do it. I was working up to 5 today, Dan. Fuck off. But we're going to take a look at this. And Luke, I'll throw it over to yourself first. Obviously, when you take a look at the net spend here, so Liverpool currently have a 300 million euro net spend. Arsenal have a nearly 340 euro net spend. Chelsea, because they've basically bought and sold the average population of a small nation, have a 10 million euro net spend, probably the lowest I've seen in quite a while. Man United then have 160 million euro net spend, Man City 153, and Spurs 170. Of the big six, Luke, is given the players that have come in and gone out, is there somebody that you think has had the best window and the worst window? Because in my opinion, I think there's very much a clear argument for possibly Chelsea to have had the best window on a purely incomings and outgoings. But then when you look at player quality, I think we've blown them out of the water as well at the same time. So where do you sort of see it ranking in your mind?
I've just done a mic test. It's not working. Is it on?
Yeah, it's on. We got it.
Yeah, we're fine. Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, the audio's bad. I've been trying to fix this on the fly, like I said. Personally, I think even though we've brought in Isak and Guehi today, I still think Arsenal have had a better window than us, just because they've had issues and they've addressed them. And we have I know we had a few running down contracts. We had a few players who were aging. We had some players who might get a lot of minutes. We need to move on. We've brought in a good amount of money for them players. The likes of Morton, who could have gone on to be sort of Liverpool. We brought in a £10 million fee for him. He weren't quite working out. The fee for Doak's amazing, considering he's hardly kicked the ball for Liverpool, to be honest. He's only played a handful of games. To recoup 53 for Nunes as well, that's brilliant. So we've done some good business. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the issues that Arsenal had, they had clear weak points in the squad that if they got one or two injuries, they collapse. And we've sort of seen that already. Saka's injured, and you're sort of going, oh, well, they've got Eze, they've got Madueke, they've got Martinelli, they've got options where they didn't have that last year. So I think they're definitely a stronger squad. And that's what I would say the purpose of the transfer window is, to come out with the squad. You can't win or lose the transfer window, but you want to come out with the strongest team. Chelsea's business is surprising, and I am a big fan of Chelsea in the way they're playing football. And for them to only have a net spend of is it 10.1 mil? Is that what it is?
Yeah, 10.1 mil, yeah. This is in like mils, basically.
That's really, really good, isn't it? When you think about their forward line as well, with João Pedro, who's brilliant. They brought the Lapin as a second option. They've got Garnacho, which was... I know he's a United player, but I do think he's a good talent, and I think for the fee they've got them at, it is a steal. It's just maybe his attitude issues and his immaturity that may lead to his downfall at Chelsea, but hopefully they can get a hold of that. And they've got a Stavio as well, haven't they? They've got a nickname for him, haven't they? But I don't know what it is. But yeah, he's another good option. So net spend wise, obviously, if that's what you're looking at, Chelsea won the window just by sheer numbers, and they do look strong. But I would still say Arsenal have come out as the overall winners because they've just addressed issues rather than replaced. We've replaced, and we could be sat here in January and saying, you know what, the players we've brought in, they've all kicked on, and we're in a much better position than we were. But we're going to need time for that to happen, I think.
Yeah, there's some rumours going on at the moment that Guehi is staying at Palace, but we'll see how that comes. This is Anfield sector, Josh, who's saying it. So we'll see if it starts breaking for others. Indy, the ever reliable, has also said Mark Guehi looks very upset. Very upset. So we'll see what happens there. It looks like somebody in the group chat saying, I hope Oliver Glasner slips in the shower, the cunt. But anyways, it looks like the Guehi deal is off. And that happened very quickly. But we'll see, because this could turn around, and the only person I've seen say it so far is Josh on Anfield sector. He kind of knows his stuff, but I'll wait until somebody of the big boys possibly says it as well. Hassan, based on the numbers across the big six teams, is there anybody specific that you think has had a good window and who has probably had the worst window out of everybody?
Yeah, for as Luke said about Arsenal, that I think the main thing is the coach, the manager who manages them. It does not matter that if they sign good attacking talents, if he comes to their biggest rivals who he wants to uh, take out of their throne and get win the Premier League, and he comes with three defensive midfielders and four centre backs. I don't think it will matter with Arsenal, and I think there is a strange mix of so many different.
Hassan, are you there? Can you hear me? I don't know what's going on there, Hassan. I think it's just completely gone. Ben,
Spreadsheets tack the bandwidth.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
text
yeah,
the
yeah.
bandwidth.
What games do you make these mistakes happen when you're live? You know.
Yeah, it is. It's great. So David Ornstein, major breaking news coming out of Anfield sector there. Mark Guehi is expected to stay at Crystal Palace despite an agreement to take the defender to Liverpool being reached on deadline day. The England international 25 completed at least part of a medical after a fee of 35 million was agreed between the clubs. Personal terms on a 5-year contract to 2030 were also in place. Well done, Palace. You've now just basically shafted yourself out of any sort of a deal for that whatsoever. We won't come back in January, because we'll just throw 5 million on the table and you'll not take it, and then we'll just come back and get them in summer for free. So well done there. Absolute shit show from Palace on that side of things. But yeah, interesting that. Ben, first reaction to the news, I suppose, is probably the best to say it to yourself. How do you feel about it now? Do you feel, I know everybody said, yeah, Guehi's happening all of a sudden for us to drop a shit burger on top of everybody that Guehi isn't happening. But how are you feeling about it now, about the window as a whole? Has your opinion changed on it all that much?
No, it's still been a very successful window. Let's not, get bogged down in the small things. Obviously, it's a shame if he doesn't come, and it's looking that way now. It does, I think, leave us a little bit. It leaves us a little bit vulnerable at the back. Gomez, obviously, with his injury record, Canate again. He's not someone that's going to stay fit for the whole season. Maybe 8 to 10 games throughout the season he'll miss. And it looks like Leone will get thrown in the deep end at some point, and he'll have a run of 6 or 7 games. I think it's definitely something they'll address in next summer, either getting him for free or before. I could see that happening depending on how we get on over the next couple of months, and how the fixtures hold out. But yeah, no, I don't think it changes how we've done as a whole window, because I think we've signed what we needed to and where we needed to, and we've put a lot of money into it. You can't have everything.
Yeah,
I think.
Just
Sorry,
looking at
can
it
I
here.
just jump in there a sec? Just to add to what Ben says, I think we've skimmed over that a bit too quick. If you're Giovanni Leone now sat there and you've seen this deal fall, yeah, you're going to be called upon a lot now. Like, you've suddenly got a massive task on your hands. A lad who's only played 17 games last year. Now, if there's a couple of injuries, it's probably going to be called on quite a bit in this first start of the window. We are going to need another defender in January. We're going to have to get somebody. But if you're Giovanni Leone, you're either terrified or you're rubbing your hands thinking, I'm going to have a big opportunity here.
I think he's rubbing his hands. He looks like he has that mentality that he's ready to just absolutely throttle somebody the second he gets on a pitch. It's funny though, because James Pearce, three minutes before Ornstein dropped his Guehi is off, said Liverpool and Palace have until 9 p.m. Poor James Pearce, man. That he gets absolutely nothing. Poor Jimbo is just absolutely lamped with all the shit. I mean, it'd be sad if it wasn't so funny. To be perfectly honest with you.
What
Poor
do you reckon's
Jimbo.
happened? Do you reckon someone's not got the round and then you've all stormed out this pub having a meeting in now?
Yeah, basically, I think poor James has sort of been left on the last of the group chats, and yeah, oh, it is what it is. Guehi isn't coming. Dan gets his wish that his Lord and Savior Joe Gomez gets to stay and have a bigger impact this year. But Dan, I'll throw it over to you now to finish it off with regards to who's had sort of the best transfer window. Is there anybody that jumps out to you, and who's had the worst one?
Oh God. Well, I disagree with Luke on Arsenal and Chelsea's quality because I think Arsenal have improved their depth, but I don't think they've improved their overall quality. I think they have for instance, I don't see this Arsenal side breaking 90 points. They just don't. Like Gyökeres, and with Havertz injured. Yes, they have Eze. Yes, they have Madueke. Yes, they signed Zubimendi. Yes, they've signed 30 more center backs, to play. Like Arteta's dream side is just playing 11 center backs on the pitch and just Allardycing the shit out of a team. I think Arsenal have addressed all their issues in the sense of they signed a player that plays that role. But in terms of does this actually make Arsenal, for instance, is Zubimendi an actual better player than Thomas Partey? I don't think he really is. Is he actually giving you something better? Is Victor Gyökeres a better center forward than Gabriel Jesus was? Injury issues aside, I don't think he is. Is Madueke Eze better than Kai Havertz? I don't think he is. I think they're better than Reece Nelson or Nketiah, but you don't win leagues by signing a better fourth or fifth strike.
I think they've raised the floor, but they haven't raised their ceiling, in my opinion. If that makes sense.
I just think they made their floor instead of 72 points, like 79 points. Like I don't even think it's that big. I don't think it's that big of a jump for them. For Chelsea are just Fulham, but they have like better players. Like every player is similar quality, but Fulham being chronically 9th or 10th because all their players are good, but they're 9th and 10th best players. I think Chelsea are chronically 4th and 5th because all their players are 4th and 5th players. Joao Pedro is not Hugo Ekitike. Liam Delap is not Alexander Isak. And I would say he's probably just a slightly better version of maybe a Solanke. I don't, who do they even have of wingers? Pedro Neto is not someone who's going to score you 15 goals a season. They're a knockoff Timu version of Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. Same thing with Arsenal, is that you have a lesser version of what Pep was trying to do at City in different phases as well. So in terms of who's had the best, I think we've had the best by far because of the quality. You can't argue with the quality. Even with Guehi not coming this summer, I was like, if they signed Isak, Verts, Ekitike, Kirkes, Frimpong, and Giovanni Leone with Georgi Mamadashvili, with Amin Pesci and Freddie Woodman, like that's you're talking about the greatest Premier League transfer window I think has ever happened since I don't know, maybe United buying Tevez or like one of the mid 2000 ones when United had a good window. I think who's had the worst window is the easiest. It's Manchester United because they're a fucking shit show. Because they're a shit show. And they have so many problems that, I mean, I was going back and I was watching Graf Radnick's interviews and he was mocked at the time because United fans are drunk off their own farts and stuck up their own asses. And that's why he talk like this. They have so many problems at that club. And Rangnick said, this is not something you can fix with tactics or a transfer window. It needs surgery of the heart because he's German and they say syntax weird. So regardless of all the money people spent, I think we've had the best. I think who's had an underrated window, who are in the top 6, is Sunderland. I think Sunderland have had a very good window, very underrated window. And I think there's a strong chance they stay up. And Wolves look like they're going down. I think West Ham might go down, even though they beat Forest the other day 3-0. I still think there's a strong chance they go down, even though they had a strong into the window. But anybody that's like Luke said, you don't win or lose transfer windows. It's stupid. No one cares. Tottenham won the transfer window when they bought that midfielder. Unless you're Everton. Like the power change on Merseyside's happening soon, lads. The millions are coming in.
Drew, you're not getting any sort of an apology off me. I'm going to knee slide through that group chat every time Isak scores, and I'm going to do it shamelessly.
I just want to pull it back dead quick, just to touch on what Dan said. I think Chelsea's really interesting because he's right. They don't have the quality to compete right now, but I think Chelsea are sort of in that limbo where we were about 16, 17, 17, 18, where they've got a very young team, they've got a lot of players, they've got a lot of potential, but it's just whether they're going to get it out of them. That's all it is. Like,
Do you think they can
on
give them the game time to get it out of them, though, Luke? That's the issue.
Yeah. I think I think last season they had a lot of game time because they had that conference league, but it's not necessarily like good minutes. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Like, you're playing against. I think they had Shamrock Rovers within the group, didn't they? But I'm not sure how Shamrock Rovers will get on in League Two. Never mind the Conference League. So I think if they can share the minutes around a bit more, we could see a bit more of that Chelsea team. I really enjoy watching them. I do think they're a good side. Much like we were, like, remember we were like everyone's neutral side, like love watching Liverpool on Sky. I do enjoy watching Chelsea, and I'll be interested to see what happens, but it's definitely not like a certain that they're going to kick on and be boss. It's very much a gamble.
The way that I look at it with Chelsea is Chelsea have a very similar issue to Man City, in that they're fine up front. They have the attacking prowess, but their defense and their goalkeeper is woeful. And Arsenal, I feel, have the opposite. They don't have a challenge of scoring a goal. They have a challenge of creating one. As you've seen against us, they created absolutely nothing. And then, yes, it was a moment of brilliance, but even if that goal kick, that free kick didn't go in, I could see us still scoring to finish that game off. It was coming. It was threatening. Luke, you were in the ground. Like, you obviously seen it building and building. Like, that offside goal that came, you were like, okay, there's a bit of a zhuzh in the crowd now as well. Everybody's getting behind them. And then just, what more can we say about that goal, I guess?
I do want to
talk about City, because everyone uses City as kind of the metric of like ambition or depth. City have had terrible transfer windows the past 4 or 5 years. The only reason that gets glossed over is because Haaland has worked out so well and they won the treble. No one cared. They won 4 Premier Leagues in a row. No one really cared. But if you actually look at their squad makeup, even when they were winning, there were already massive holes. Like, they have no one really to replace Rodri. Nico Gonzalez doesn't look up to it. Tiani Reinders is a canceled pilot TV show. I think that I want to forget his name now. The Egyptian forward that everyone was raving about. What's his name? Marmoush. There we go. I see he hasn't scored, so I forgot what he was doing. Doku's washed. Savinho's useless. Matias Nunez, the savior of our 22-23 midfield season, is a terrible right back. They're relying on Rico Lewis and Oscar Bob to save them right now. So I think we're underestimating how bad City's situation is right now, and the fact that if they don't have Stones, the backline's fucked. If Rodri's gone, they're fucked. Their failure points are so specific, because if Stones gone, they have no good center backs. They legitimately have no good center backs. If Rodri's gone, they have no one that can anchor that midfield. Yeah. And Haaland can't score 50 goals and keep 50 clean sheets. As insane as he is as a forward, he can't do everything as well. And I think this is what I keep contextualizing us with City, because people are so afraid of City, and City are really fucked, is what I'm trying to say. Especially for the next manager that comes in after Guardiola, because they have so much to do still, even with all the money they spent.
I think City have tried to crack a nut of a sledgehammer. Yeah. I think they've gone a bit helpful like that. They brought in so many players. Like, if you look at that midfield that started the week the Etihad against Tottenham, none of them players were there 18 months ago, which is crazy, by the way, for the treble-winning team. But I reckon Guardiola is possibly a little bit frustrated already with that, because it is a rebuild, it is a project. You're bringing in all these players, you've got to learn the system. But then you're going out and buying Donnarumma, which is absolutely mad. Because, like, Donnarumma is the most un-Pep Guardiola goalkeeper ever. He's so terrible with his feet. So it's almost like
Turkey as well.
It's almost like the first 3 games. He's seen Trafford, this ball-playing goalkeeper. And then I know he's been poor, but listen, Alisson coming in and made a massive mistake in his opening games for Liverpool against Leicester. Like, sometimes you got to give people time. It's like he's already had enough. And this Donnarumma signing to me, he's like, I'm frustrated. I want to win games now rather than this is a rebuild.
So looking at it here, the Anfield sector, basically, I don't know how they got hold of it, but there was quite literally a thank you skip. And I'm going to show it here if anybody can see it. I don't know, maybe you can't see it. But that's on Anfield sector. If you want to go onto their Twitter page, it literally shows, they say another Fekir moment. And it's like Palace TV have the title of thank you skip is in thank you skipper. It was done. Media teams and everything had it done. This was the 11th of the 11th hours that this got pulled. But Ben, with how this is kind of all falling apart, and do you see us going back in January, or do you see us fobbing this off completely and maybe never touching it again, or do we go back in next summer and get them for free?
I think that comes down to how Guehi reacts over the next couple of weeks. Obviously, we've seen that he's conducted himself the perfect professional in this whole transfer saga, but he's clearly quite upset with this and with a year left on his contract. And if this is a case of Glasner didn't want him to go and he was sort of holding him hostage, then do we see a bit of fallout from that? I think if we see fallout, do we see Guehi push for a transfer in the January window? And are we
Yeah.
looking at maybe a 10-15 million, which I think Liverpool will pay?
Yeah,
I think it comes down to that.
It'll be interesting. It's. I feel a bit shit for Mark Guehi, to be perfectly honest with you. And the Tactical Times here on Twitter mentioned it as well. The centre back that they plan to replace Guehi with wouldn't join because he wasn't guaranteed to get minutes. That doesn't make sense, does it? A conspiracy-minded person might think that this was a spot of sabotage by a manager with a focus on his own short-term future. Hassan, with that in mind, do you think this is possibly orchestrated by Glasner in order to, shall we say, circle the wagons and not lose his captain and best defender with absolutely no time to get any sort of a replacement in? And is this a bit, where does the blame land on this, so to speak? Because I don't think it lands on any part of Liverpool or Mark Guehi in this situation. Mark Guehi has been nothing but respectful about this. He's played all the games he's been asked. He's done everything that he's asked. He wanted his move. He wanted out. Where does the blame land on this? Is it on Parish and maybe folding to Glasner, or is it on Glasner and him maybe being a bit selfish in regards to this? You're muted, Hassan. We can't hear you. Not still muted. Can't hear you. We do love live streams, guys. It's all technical problems. Yeah, we'll move on and we'll come back to you, Hassan. Luke, where does the blame land for this, do you feel?
That's really difficult. It's going to fall down to Glasner, isn't it? Let's be honest, and the Crystal Palace board. I think the topic of fallout that Ben just brought up, and we were already seeing fallout yesterday. You know, Dean Henderson was jokingly but almost semi-serious, sort of giving Mark Guehi a shove, and what at first seemed like a joke, but by clear Guehi's reaction was not a joke. You know, and we've already seen that fallout amongst the camp, and now you're going to ask him to go back in and captain that side. It's going to be really, really difficult for him. And I've seen a few tweaks there. One's from Josh Williams, distance covered. He's sound lad, by the way, and he's just put basically acting like a prat gets you your own way and acting like a perfect professional evidently doesn't. So that's the lesson everybody's learned here, and it's not going to look good. And another conversation we had, and I was sort of having this conversation about Newcastle, was when you don't let players get their own way, it's a little bit of a red flag to agents. You know, obviously Guehi wanted to use Palace as a stepping stone club to further his career, and them not letting him go now is a little bit of a red flag to agents to say, oh, well, they'll probably hold you hostage here, you know. And we've seen Palace do that in the past with Wilfred Zaha, who seemingly didn't work out United, ended up over to Palace, was boss, and then never, ever got his move and ended up in the Turkish league. Like I said, this isn't going to be good for Palace's long-term future. But with Liverpool, I think it's okay. We could get the player cheaper in January. If we have any injuries or stuff, though, it is going to be difficult. But luckily, the business end of the season happens in May, so hopefully we'll be fine then.
Yeah, trophies are won in January. They're not won in September and August. I think there's a good rule of thumb that after 10 games, that's usually where you end up in the table. But if you want to win silverware, like the Champions League, like the league title, even like a FA Cup, or I keep saying Capital One Cup, but it's the Carabao Cup, but I keep calling it the Capital One Cup because that's the first time it's streamed over here in the US all the time. It was called the Capital One Cup. Listen, I think people are going to blame Glasner. This is on Palace in general, because they could have signed a center back much earlier. They knew he was on a year when he rejected their contract, and Liverpool said they were going to agree this much. Apparently, like two weeks ago, they had already agreed terms with Guehi, so they already knew what Liverpool were offering. So for me, it really comes down to a failure of Parish and the board, because as much as people are going to blame Oliver Glasner, he is within his rights as manager to say, look, You didn't sign me a replacement. I want to keep my captain for the next 3 to 4 months. He's within his rights, and we're also within the rights to be like fuck off, Glasner. But again, he's within his rights. He's a European winning manager. He is an ambitious man and a very intelligent manager. I don't think anybody here should I don't think any of us should forget that. And again, we can just sign him in January for like 20 million pounds, and Palace will still have to do the same business, or we sign him in the summer for free. This is not the end of the world. Everything's gonna be fine.
It's not that it's the end of the world, but watch him rip a hamstring in 3 weeks' time.
It could happen.
It's written in the stars, and I wouldn't wish an injury on any player at all. It's nothing got to do with that. It's almost as if it's written in the stars that this falls through at the last minute, and then it just completely collapses. He does an ACL, he does his hamstring, he does his ankle, or he does a cruciate or something, and that completely scuppers any future move for him immediately. It's almost as if it is premonition near enough. Indy Kalia, however, the ever-reliable Indy Kalia, fresh off his shift on KFC. Liverpool are furious with Crystal Palace regarding the Mark Guehi change of stance. They have told the player they will come back in for him in January. Liverpool believe his value to be around 20 to 25 million in January. They're fucking idiots if they're going to pay them 25 million in January for a guy that's going to be free in 6 months after that. That is lunacy. Real Madrid bid 20 million euro for Trent with 6 months left on his deal. You can jog the fuck on if you think we're going to bid £25 million for Mark Guehi with 6 months left, with half a season left on his deal. But one comment that I wanted to note here, no, it's not. Our defense is not cheats. It very much is not cheats. It is actually a very good defense. It just so happens that we conceded silly chances off of our own mistakes in the first 2 games, and then completely shut down Arsenal, who apparently got the best striker in the world, who put 50 past Portuguese plumbers and electricians. But we won't mention anything about that. Completely shut him out. But we're going to take a look at, for the last 15 minutes more so, I have a little thing here, and I don't think we'll have the time to do all of them because I put all 20 teams into it. But what we're going to do is we'll do the top 6 and where we think it was. So I'm going to share this tab again, and it's a little ranking tool that I have here, because I do love my little tabs and everything that we're going to have a look at and share here. So once everybody kind of no, Hassan, we can't hear you if you're trying to speak. I can't hear you. Try and speak again there, Hassan. We'll see if we can hear you. No, not a tap. There's nothing coming through there, Hassan.
Chris
Apologies.
Williams did say, according to Chris Williams, again, he's someone who was connecting the journalist positions. He's mostly now in Germany, but he's usually pretty reliable.
Yeah.
He said Glasner went as far as to say if Guehi left, he'd offer his resignation. Liverpool senior staff to now travel back from London expected that a deal for January will be discussed in the next month, but it'll be at a severely lowered price. So what we said earlier, Stephen, what I said, it was going to hinge on, is he going to offer his resignation or resign right then and there? That's what was going to come down to. And that's what it came down to, at least for the next couple of months.
Yeah.
I think something just to touch on here is like
unfortunate. Yeah,
business end of the Champions League.
Oh,
sorry. Yeah, business end of the Champions League
No,
isn't
go
happening
ahead,
until
Luke.
January anyway. So, yeah. Business end of the Champions League isn't happening until January anyway, and you'd imagine that's when we're going to need him the most, isn't it? So, it's one of them, and let's try and draw a positive out of what is essentially a negative.
I think it's interesting how players will react to this. If you look at the whole transfer window as a whole, you look at players like Isaac, who to a degree can force a move with the way they behave, and then you look at players like Mark, who the ultimate professional, and actually his deal hasn't gone through. So I think it'll be interesting to see how this plays out over the next 2-3 seasons for players across the league, because I think we'll see a lot more players going on strike and forcing moves more so than we have of recent years.
Yeah, especially when there's kind of an understanding. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, sorry, Dan. Just one thing that I need people to understand as well is why I don't think we'll go back in for him. And the only reason we probably will sign him next summer is if he's on a free and he's injury free. Is take a look at Andre Trinidad. How close we were to signing him until I think who is it that he played for in Brazil? Was it Flamingos? Or who was it that he played for? Not Flamingos, but you know what I mean, the team that's down there. I can't remember the name of the team that he played for in Brazil. But anyways, He
Basically,
Fluminense.
Fluminense. Apologies. Flamingos. What the fuck am I on? But nonetheless, we basically had a deal sorted for him, and then all of a sudden it fell through its arse, and we then never went near him again, and now he's gone to Wolves and kind of just been meh as a signing for them. I absolutely think it's going to be one of these as well. It's not going to be. We're not going near him in January when we could probably have, like, Leone could kick on. Joe Gomez could all of a sudden find a fountain of youth and be fit again. Leone could absolutely dominate everywhere. This was the same thing with Isak, that if Isak didn't happen, I 100% thought we wouldn't go back in for him, because all of a sudden now you've Ekitike that could have 10 goals and 5 assists by January, and then you're looking at it being like, do you know what? We don't need to put 120 million on this guy because we think Ekitike is the business. We might just go throw 50 million on a backup like Mateta, and then we might go take the other 100 million we were going to spend and throw it on a midfielder or a centre back. And that kind of a way. Like a year in football is a generation. But we're going to move on to the rankings here, and we'll do the top 6 so far. So what I'll do is there's 5 of us here. So we'll pick one team each, and then we leave Liverpool to do the last one, because I think it's that. But Hassan, can you hear us and can you speak so we can see if you're there? Because otherwise we might just have to do this without you, unfortunately. No, not a word. I'm not getting anything from him. Okay, well, look, there's 4 of us. It's fine. We'll work with it. Hassan, can you type it into the chat here? Which team would you have and where would you put them? And then we'll go from there then. So pick one of Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, United, or City, and where would you put them in that ranking? And what we'll do is, while we're discussing it, which team are you picking first? Just put it in the chat and we'll get it from there. Well, it's nice to see that we have the horse punchers in tonight. Up the mags, Isak will do what he's done to Newcastle when Real Madrid knock on his door. All right. Have you not got a couple of horses to go punch? But anyways, nonetheless, Hassan, you're just putting Liverpool top of the league. Right, so we'll do that, and then that's where we put Liverpool, then we'll discuss the rest of them. So we throw Liverpool league winning. Luke, pick one of the top 6, Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, United, or City. Where do you rank them on this and why?
I'll stick to my guns from earlier. I'll put Chelsea in. I think I'll put them in. Is it 000? You're so small on my screen. The
Good.
3rd tier. And that's
Good.
just because. Yeah, good. Is it a G? Looks like an O. Sorry, my monitor's tiny. Yeah, I think that backs what I said earlier. Like, in my opinion, it's a loan at spend. It's a good window. They've got a lot of potential players. It's just, now are they going to kick on? We don't know yet. So I think I'll stick to me guns there.
Perfect, not a problem. So that's Chelsea in the good. They've done a lot of good. They've sold a lot of good. But Dan, pick a team of. I'm going to put them in why.
I'm going to put Spurs at great for 2 reasons. They got Javi Simmons and they got Kolo Muani as a backup to Solanke. And even though they were terrible against Bournemouth, Thomas Frank's a good manager. He's better than Postecoglou. I actually think Frank's a better manager than Howe, though people disagree with me, who have slightly different political leanings than I do when it comes to English managers. Frank is going to get the best of that Tottenham team. They are probably going to be a dark underdog for a Champions League spot. I could see them sneaking ahead of City or even Chelsea for that 3rd or 4th spot.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, we have Arsenal, Man United, and City left over for yourself, Ben. Where do you see them going, and why? Pick one, and where do you see? Give me your reasoning.
I'll go Arsenal and I'll go great. I think, like we said earlier, they've got a ceiling, and they're not title contenders, but actually they've recruited in areas they needed to. The only area I think they've not looked out on is that left wing position. I think Eze would have been better as a 10, playing more centrally for them. But I think they've done what they needed to do to upgrade the squad. And as Luke was saying earlier, that's the purpose of a transfer window, to upgrade your squad, and they have done that. They're a strong position now than they were 12 months ago. But they're not going to win the league. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think they'll win on it either. I am going to do everybody a favor and just put them out of their misery and put them there.
They don't have a sporting director.
And what we'll do is, I know, but sack whoever's there. They've had a shocking window. They've basically put 300 million or 200 million on 3 forwards that only self-create. They don't create for others. That doesn't work in a front 3. They would have been better served taking the money that they were going to spend on Sesko and putting it on a midfielder or a centre back. Their goalkeeper is shocking. Their defence is shocking. Their midfield is basically a man baby who throws his toys out of the pram, and an OAP in Casemiro, and somebody in, I'm not even going to mention how bad of a footballer Ugarte is, but they've just had a horrible window, in my opinion. They've been absolutely shocking. Okay, we'll give a general consensus. So I'll try and hit the average between what everybody says. Luke, your thoughts on City in a word. So where would you put them there? And we'll finish up the stream after this.
I'd probably put them in meh. Meh. I think they've done too much business.
Meh.
If you count, I probably would count January as well. The January just gone, and this summer I think they've done too much business. They haven't really upgraded. They've sort of like just brought in a younger players who probably have a lower ceiling than the players that they got rid of. I mean, Ryan just isn't going to go on to be KDB, is he? Let's be honest, and neither is Shaky.
Or
That's the
Gundogan.
example I'm getting at.
I don't think Reinders will even touch what Gundogan gave at City side. But I think more decent than meh. I think they're more decent. Like, they are filling holes. Holes are being filled, but they're not being filled as much as they were.
Okay, so
before.
we've decent and meh kind of
But
between
I
there.
think
Ben, you're the
they've
tiebreaker.
improved.
I'm meh. Absolutely. I think they've, I don't know, I'd argue they've taken a backward step.
I would honestly say just the only player they brought in who's better than the players they had is Donnarumma, and he fits the system shockingly.
I agree.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's sorry, just laughing at one of the messages in the group chat. Just to compound issues, one of the lads is after jokingly saying, get the Isak announcement out, and then somebody commented, breaking, Alexander Isak fails his medical and will return to Newcastle. Could you imagine? Oh, that'd be funny. But we are going to leave it there, gentlemen, and everybody that's joined us. I want to thank everybody that has joined us today. If you haven't already, please do make sure to like and subscribe. If you have already, we very much appreciate you. If you are currently watching on Twitter or Facebook at the moment, make sure to jump over to our YouTube page, Anything Liverpool, for all of the latest news and everything. It's going to be a long, long, long first international break that it's going to drag out. But at least we'll get to watch Alexander Isak, the newest Liverpool player, play for Sweden and bag a couple of goals. Meanwhile, Sticky Vicky Gyökeres is going to be sat on the bench and he's not going to get a minute because he runs like he's wearing Timberlands and custard. But we're going to leave it there, guys. I hope everybody's had a wonderful evening. I hope everybody's had a lovely, stress-free transfer window. Let's go on and let's go win the league again and absolutely smash the Champions League while we're at it. We will be back again on Wednesday. Hope everybody sticks around for that, so make sure that you're there. We'll be back at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, so make sure you have your notifications on for that. But for myself, Ben, Dan, Hassan, and